Dance! I said dance!
The whip didn't hit the woman. It hit the ground inches from her bare feet. Amara stumbled, her legs shaking like dry leaves in the wind. She had not slept in 6 days. Her eyes were sunken, dark circles bruising her face. On her back, her baby, little Noah, was screaming, a weak, dry cry of exhaustion. "My king, please," Amara whispered, her voice cracking. "My legs, they won't move." The baby. King Damian stood over her. He looked demonic. His royal robes were stained with coffee. His eyes were wide, unblinking, filled with madness. "Did I tell you to stop?" The king roared, spitting as he spoke. "If you stop moving, the enemy comes. Do you want us all to die?" Useless woman. King Damian grabbed a bucket of ice-cold water. "No, my king. Not the baby." Amara screamed, shielding her child. Splash. The king threw the freezing water over the exhausted mother and her crying infant. Baby Noah gasped, silent from the shock, before wailing louder. The king laughed. A dry, wicked cackle. "Now you are awake. Now you are fresh. Soldiers. Make her jump. If she stops, throw her in the river." The villagers watched in horror, tears streaming down their faces, but too terrified to move. But hidden in the shadows, Queen Isabella clenched her fists until her nails dug into her palms. Tonight, this madness would end. Even if she had to kill her own husband. But how did a king who was once wise turn into a monster? 2 weeks ago, the village seer gave a prophecy. Your enemy comes when the village is silent. Your crown falls when your eyes are closed. Madness ate King Damian's mind. He didn't see the prophecy as a warning. He saw it as a command. Gong. Gong. No sleep. No silence. Penalty for sleeping is death. But the king didn't just ban sleep. He decided to test the loyalty of his people. And Amara, the poor widow with no husband to protect her, became his favorite toy. Day 2. Amara was walking from the stream, a heavy clay pot on her head. Her eyes closed for just a second. Just a blink. King Damian saw her. "Ah! You are plotting against me," he shouted. He made her stand on one leg, balancing the heavy water pot, for 3 hours under the hot sun. "If you spill a drop," he whispered in her ear, "I will banish you to the evil forest." Amara stood. She trembled. She wept. But she did not spill. Day 4. The drums were beating so loud the earth shook. Amara sat in her hut, covering little Noah's ears. The king burst in. "Why are you hiding?" he screamed. "Come out. Sing for me." He dragged her to the village square. He threw dusty corn on the ground. "Pick it up," he ordered. "Pick up every grain. One by one. Count them out loud. Prove you are awake." Amara crawled on her knees, picking corn from the dirt while the king ate roasted chicken above her, throwing the bones at her feet. "Look at her," he mocked. "The widow who thinks she needs rest. Do kings rest? No. So why should a peasant rest?" Day 6. Amara collapsed near the palace gate. She didn't move. The king walked over and kicked her ribs. "Get up," he hissed. Amara looked up, bloodshot eyes filled with pain. "Kill me, my king. Just kill me and let Noah sleep." The king smiled. A cold, cruel smile. "Death is too easy, Amara. Wake up." This was the moment the village broke. They saw a mother begging for death just to get peace. Back to the night of the ice water. Amara tried to stand, but her legs gave way. She fell face first into the mud. Baby Noah rolled into the dirt, screaming. King Damian drew his sword. The metal glinted in the firelight. "This baby cries too much," the king mumbled, his eyes twitching. "The noise, it sounds like the enemy's signal." Silence the child, Amara. Or I will silence him forever. He pointed the sword at the infant. A gasp went through the crowd. This was it. The taboo. You do not touch a child. Enough. Queen Isabella stepped out of the darkness. She didn't bow. She didn't greet. She walked straight to Amara, picked up the baby, and wiped the mud from his face. Isabella? The king blinked, confused. Give me the child. He is a spy. You are sick, Damian, Queen Isabella said, her voice low and dangerous. You are not a king anymore. You are a mad dog biting your own family. I am protecting us. King Damian screamed, swinging the sword wildly at the air. The seer said. The seer said the enemy comes when you are silent, Isabella interrupted. She held up a calabash. Drink. It is medicine for your nerves. If you want to kill the baby, you must drink this first to steady your hand. The king paused. His throat was dry. He was shaking from 6 days of caffeine and fear. Give it to me, he snatched the calabash. He drank greedily. Red wine spilled down his chin, mixing with the sweat and dirt. He threw the calabash down. Now, he raised his sword again towards Amara. Stand up, you wit. He froze. His sword dropped. Clang. His knees hit the ground. Thud. What did you? King Damian slurred. His eyes rolled back. He looked at Amara one last time. He saw the fear in her eyes. For a split second, the madness cleared, and he saw what he had become. Amara, he whispered. Then, darkness. King Damian collapsed face first into the same mud where he had pushed Amara. Sound, loud snore. Amara looked at the queen. Is he dead? No, Isabella said, handing the baby back to her. He is sleeping. And so will you. Go home. King Damian woke up 2 days later. He wasn't on his throne. He was tied to a chair in the village square. The whole village was there. But it was silent. Queen Isabella stood before him. Next to her was Amara, looking clean, rested, holding her sleeping baby, Noah. My wife, King Damian stammered. Why am I tied? Look, Isabella pointed. King Damian looked. The villagers weren't bowing. They were staring at him with pity and anger. He looked at Amara. He remembered the ice water. He remembered pointing the sword at Noah. Shame, hot and heavy, flooded his chest. The seer was right. His crown had fallen, not because he slept, but because he had lost the respect of his people. I almost killed a child, the king whispered. Tears filled his eyes. Real tears. You did, Amara said softly. She stepped forward. The guards tensed, but she waved them off. She stood in front of the king. You humiliated me. You made me eat dirt. You poured ice on my baby. The king lowered his head. I am sorry, Amara. The madness, the fear. Fear is not an excuse for cruelty, Amara said. She reached into her wrapper and pulled out a kola nut. My husband said that a king who cannot serve his people should not rule them. But a king who can say sorry, maybe he has a chance. She placed the kola nut in his tied hands. A symbol of peace. The king wept openly. That enemy he feared was never an army. It was his own cruelty. King Damian was untied, but he was never the same. He never raised his voice again. Every year, on the anniversary of that night, he washes the feet of the widows in the village. He learned that power is not about making people fear you. It is about making sure they can sleep soundly at night. My people, this story cuts deep. We have all met a King Damian, a boss, a partner, a parent, who uses their own fear to make everyone else miserable. They punish you because they are insecure. But remember Amara. She suffered, but she did not break. And remember Queen Isabella, sometimes, You have to force a leader to sit down before they destroy everything. Question of the day. If you were Amara, would you have forgiven the king? Or would you have demanded he step down from the throne? Be honest. I want to see your comments.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. We tell the stories that others are afraid to whisper.